Moving ahead, I would now like to take this opportunity to introduce our first special guest for the day, Ms. Megha Sen, Vice President and Chief HR Officer, Technopak Advisors Private Limited. Ma'am has around 15 years of experience in human resources and operations domain. Prior to this, Ms. Sen worked in the HR and operations functions with companies like NIIT Technologies, Octane Marketing, GE Capital, etc. Ma'am is a seasoned HR professional with an experience encompassing strategy, corporate HR, employer branding, learning and career development, recruitment and onboarding, profile mapping, etc. Thank you for joining us today, ma'am. May I request you to take over the session and honor the participants with your address?
Thank you so much for such a warm welcome. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to be a part of this conference and to address all the students who are going to be stepping into the corporate world probably this year or next year. So I was hearing the eminent panels and my co-speakers on this issue of organizational performance development and during the stressful times that we've gone through in the last 2 years. My topic for today's deliberation is managing mental health, well-being of workforce during pandemic and the role of HR. Okay. I would like to keep it in a deliberation mode, and the whole idea of my 10 minutes of the conversation would be to surface certain realistic things that have happened in the last 2 years, both from an organization's perspective and from an employee perspective. I think it's very important to have a balanced deliberation of thinking what challenges businesses are facing, what is the way forward for businesses and for employees, because if businesses are not taken along, there will not be any spaces to work. So I'll be touching upon both these things, though my topic is mental health and well-being of employees, but it's equally important for the organization's health to be okay, to be able to give a good environment for workforces. So I'll break my session in 5-minute session, where in first 5 minutes I'll spend in terms of talking about what are the challenges that we faced as an HR, what are the probable outcomes that came across and what we did as an HR fraternity, and what I think we could do moving forward or continue to do forward. See, from a business perspective, and from an HR perspective, this was a huge transformation that happened at a shortest span of time. Okay, it's been deliberated and enough research has happened that any kind of change takes a lot of time, takes a lot of resistance. People by virtue are resistant to change. I think that was completely challenged to the human ecosystem, that everything was new and these were really unprecedented times wherein nobody had any clue of what to do and how to do. Let's face that fact first. These were unprecedented times. There was nothing right, nothing wrong, and everybody was figuring out in their own spaces. Fortunately for HR fraternity, this was a huge opportunity also to come forward and surface as an important aspect of an organization's ecosystem. In multiple conferences and in multiple places, I have always deliberated and said that why HR does not get a place in the boardroom. Okay, this is a topic that we have deliberated in a lot of conferences, and there are specific reasons for that. In the start of the session, ma'am said that HR is poor with data. Indeed, yes. Analytics, data-driven approach, and a lot of other things attribute to an organization's success. Okay, so I'll touch upon all these factors from a business perspective in the last 5 minutes. Quickly, I'll move on to the topic which says mental health and mental well-being. So this was one of the most important and crucial factors for colleagues, employees, for us, ourselves, for businesses to function during the last 2.5 years. One of the most important aspects that were in the forefront in professional space and businesses for individuals was productivity and mental well-being. Okay, and both go parallelly. If there is struggles in productivity, it is for a reason. Mental well-being and physical well-being were the two important aspects that took a hit during the pandemic for multiple reasons. My mental well-being, it was not just delivering work on time, but there were multiple drastic changes happening around us in a short span of time, say for 2 months. Terms like lockdown, COVID, stress, fear, anxiety, family to be managed, elderly parents to be managed, children to be managed, delivering quality work, meetings, work-life balance, everything was to be dealt in a way locked up into a room. Human by virtue can't be locked in a room. We are social beings. I think we realized this in the last 2 years, that though the situation was such that we were forced to be locked up in rooms, but all these things definitely had a huge psychological impact, physical well-being, people struggling with anxiety, people going into depression, people putting up weight, a lot of such issues which are actually related to be able to deliver, to be able to be productive. There was no house help. And this is not a normal situation. I think for working women to manage home along with work, delivering timelines with no work-life balance, things were really difficult. Okay, so all this had to be managed, managing all these stress, being mentally sound, became not just a necessity, but surfaced as a problem globally. Okay, so there was a global phenomena of well-being to be taken a look at. How companies addressed it, not just art, but a lot of other companies. See, while there was a lot of change happening in terms of digital transformation, and digital transformation happening in all domains, not just in HR, but in IT infrastructure, suddenly everything had to be shifted to a work from home mode from a work from office mode. So IT also played a very significant role in terms of IT infrastructure. So did HR. So one was infrastructure and automation and digital transformation, which did change our lives. The amount of digital transformation that has happened in the last 1.5, 2 years would have gradually, if it would have, pandemic would not have hit, would have happened in the next 5 years. So bringing in automation in HR practices and bringing in a lot of things did help a lot. However, there were softer aspects of HR as well. Okay, so we've been deliberating this, that, should HR be completely automated? Should HR be only using analytics? What is the meaning of HR? HR ultimately is human. Okay, so people is human. Human here, different people have different ways of handling things, and different situations have to be dealt differently. So there is no right or a wrong answer, or there is no right or a wrong way to look at it. What we did in our organization was, when we completely were working from home, there was a constant need to talk to people. Okay, so me and my team, we stressed on the fact of having a personal touch, despite having virtual meetings, despite having virtual sessions, despite having virtual learning sessions, etc. A constant touch through phone or through one-to-one conversations was very important to see what is happening in personal lives of each individual. There were COVID impact in families. There were demises in the families. There was a constant challenge of getting work done. So counseling, mentoring, help and support. And the most important thing, I believe, was flexibility. And by flexibility, I mean not just work from home. By flexibility, we mean that with the reopening theme right now, wherein everybody is wanting to come back to workspaces, we're constantly deliberating of a fact that whether it will be a hybrid model, whether people will come back, whether it will be completely work from home. So the answer to that is that every organization, depending on their scale and size, will have their own ways to function. At this point in time, it still is such an evolving situation from a workforce perspective that we can't go ahead and finalize on saying that it will be a hybrid model going forward, or it will be a completely work from home or completely work from office. Organizations which are small and medium businesses, which we call as SMB, they would prefer their workforce to be hybrid or work from home because of cost pressures, because they have to incur rent and huge costs. So it's easier to save cost and have employees work from home. On the other hand, we have companies like TCS, Infosys, or the biggest companies who already have their offices. They have their permanent structures, permanent offices. They are looking at getting employees back to offices wherever they have their permanent offices and permanent workspaces. So it's also been observed that there have been multiple challenges in work from home and work from office environments, leading to productivity losses or leading to larger collaboration or leading to a great learning or competitive environment. One thing that has been important in terms of managing mental health is about stressing of the fact that there should be a work-life balance. Even if it is work from home, does not mean work from if there is a work-life balance. I think there is a very, very bleak line in saying that we are working from home, but practically, you know, I have colleagues and I have employees who say they are working 14 hours, 18 hours, 16 hours a day. With work from home, there's practically no demarcation of any such thing called as office time, which is also causing a huge stress with all employees, because practically there is no work balance, work life and personal life. Both have been entangled and mixed together. So now these are practical problems that everybody is going through. Okay, specifically for women want to come back to office, it's becoming very difficult because still there are so many things. Children's schools have not opened, or they would like to manage things in a way that they're able to balance work, children, etc., etc. So what an organization can do in these times is, even if it is a remote work or work from home, there should be certain space and flexibility that should be given to the employees to be able to deliver work, at the same time have a personal life, even in a work from home mode. So what we would stress on the fact that even if they are working from home, and there are a lot of companies who've been able to do that, that even if they're working from home, they would, after a certain point in time, 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock, they would just, not have meetings or not have work and give a work-life balance. I think those were some very important things. From a learning perspective, I think there's been too much of learning that has happened during the last 2 years because of working from home. There is so much of courses that are there, so much of information that is available online to learn. I want to stress on the fact, while it is very, very important to learn, but it is equally important to unlearn. Okay, we have been coming with the notion of doing certain things a certain way. Pandemic has taught us that it could blow out on our face, that change can be really, really drastic. And if you adopt to change quickly, things would smoothen out and work in a better place. So it's equally important to unlearn things as well as it's important to learn things. So unlearning is to have that flexibility. Kind of work from home is now the new normal, so to say. Okay, there are, from an organization's perspective, a lot of organizations struggling to have a work from home and a work from office kind of a setup. There are organizations who are struggling to get their employees back to the offices. My own personal opinion would be that maybe in a year's time or year and a half's time, organizations would move, for certain of their workforce, which maybe 10 to 20% of the workforce would still continue to work from home, or they will figure out on roles that can work from home, but at a larger context of an organization, slowly and gradually. Flexibility is the most important thing. Work from home or no work from home will be a thing that will need to be deliberated at an organizational level, because businesses has to sustain, businesses has to move forward, taking people along with it. For mental well-being, there are a lot of things that people are doing. There are chatbots that are being introduced in HR fraternity to gauge employees' mood every day. So there are, rather than human interface of an HR calling somebody and asking, there are chatbots who are doing that. That's the level of automation we have reached in HR as well. So not just from a processes perspective, from an employee engagement perspective to gauge moods, there are bots that are chatting with you. There are data that are coming to us at a runtime basis, that these are the employees who are looking dull today. These are the employees who are excited to be on the job today. So that's how automation is also changing and transforming and helping employees being mentally fit and mentally well. On that note, I would like to end my session and would be open for questions at the end of the session. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Thank you. I hand over the forum to Ms. Latika.
Uh, Thank you, Megha ma'am, for your very appreciable take on mental health and well-being in these challenging and unprecedented times. We certainly have had some very noteworthy takeaways from your address. Thank you.